special meeting of the Anderson County Commissioners Court, excuse me, Mark, are we rolling?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll call the special meeting of the Anderson County Commissioners Court to order on August 9th, 2023 at 10:02 a.m. Show that a quorum is present at the time Commissioner Mims is not in the courtroom. Do we have anybody signed up in open forum?
Honestly, Judge, I didn't put it out, so.
Okay. Well,
If
since.
anybody want to fill out for an open forum, I can get you the form.
No? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so item number 3 is a budget workshop. And so we'll start our budget workshop. I think there's a few things that I wanted to apprise the court of, a few things that I've missed the other day, and I added a slide in here just to show this. Here's a handout for you. So you've got, this talks about some of the new legislation, and that one with regard to the sheriff's and prosecutor's offices was in there, but there's a little information that was left out, and I talked to, or I kind of got word that I needed to share that with the court so everybody's on the same page. And actually, for the public too that's watching, you got one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you give one to Mark?
Judge, before we get into this budget workshop, I would like to make the motion that we skip the workshop today because I've had one day to process this. I don't know how the rest of them feel. I have, I've looked at this pretty thoroughly and on the upper end of this deal, and it's a unfriendly budget that's laid out for the constituents. There's nothing for the constituents to protection. We've brought the tax rate down, and everybody is excited about the 7 cents, but we were forced to do that. That's the maximum we could go up. So we've not went down, so the taxes are actually going to increase. So the 7 cents was a forced hand on us, or it has to go to the voters at where it's at now. So if we don't decrease it some more.
I was going to do some more explanation today.
Yeah.
Because after talking to at the workshops, then I got some more information about how the homestead exemption is going to affect the taxpayers.
Yes, sir.
About the difference in what's happening with us. Some people are confused about going from $40,000 to $100,000 exemption. Is that the county? Is that the school? So
and that has to happen.
Let me go through and do some, give y'all some more information, and then the court can decide as a whole. If they have any questions, and I'll answer what questions you got tonight. If we need to set another date, which I figured we would.
We need to. I mean, because one day is not a really fair, process for us. Yeah.
And that was my plan anyway.
What do with having a month or two to work on it like you've done and giving us one day, it's hard for us to. I've got to get through it to be able to even sit down and have a good, discussion about any of the areas that we see. But the main thing, my first priority is going to be to the constituents, and right now that's not been done. And I'd like to readjust and readjust the budget to where we can help these constituents that have not had any gain. We're talking about giving these percentages raises to the employees, which, I think that they're entitled to. But I think that our constituents at home are not getting that same personal gain. So we're going to be taken away from their personal budgets that are managing their families at this time. So I think we really need to consider this tax rate and then restructure the budget before we work too much into what's been presented.
Okay. Well, just so everybody's on the same page, and I prepared some things because it's a little different this year than it has been in the past. And essentially I'm doing it like I did before because that's what is required by Texas statute. In the past, that has not happened since I left. And so here's the statute right here. It's in the local government code. And I plan to do workshops. I didn't just plan to do one today. If there's questions, we can do some more. I got no problem with that. But I'm following statute. And I'm going to put that up on the screen. And I didn't put the whole document up there, but I put the, hang on, let me go to another PowerPoint right quick. Because this is the way the process is supposed to work. Just a second, I'll get you a copy of the other commissioners. here's the beginning of here's the copies for the other commissioners.
Judge, you got one for Mark, or does he
Yes,
need
sir.
one?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So this is, it's chapter 111, and essentially what it says, and I'll read from the document. And I've got it highlighted there. It says, the annual budget required not later than August 15th, the county judge, assisted by the county auditor or county clerk, shall prepare a budget to cover all proposed expenditures of the county government for the succeeding fiscal year. And if you look through, I've underlined and I could go back later, I guess. I don't mind even putting this up on the website. But it talks about all the requirements of the county judge working with the county auditor of all the funds that have to be in the proposed budget. You're supposed to essentially file a proposed budget and then for the court to make changes as needed, okay? So instead of starting out with a workshop with a blank document, that's one of the main duties of the county judge in his functions, administrative functions for the county as the budget officer. He is the budget officer. So what I was doing exactly what the legislature has set down in law for me to do. And so I wanted to make sure that everybody had a copy.
That's all in order, Judge. You've done, you got it. You're filing your proposed budget. I don't have a problem with that. But to sit here and have a discussion on something I got, 15 pages into a 151 page, document here in one day, I've had it for one day. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how the rest of them feel about it, but I would like some more time to go. But I will sit here and we can talk about anything you want to talk about with it. But for sure, I have a problem with this budget not being favorable to the constituents, and I think that's where my concern is making sure before we call a demand on the constituents of this county to make these increases to meet this, because we can go down to 45 cents and not have any new revenue and not change anything. But I think we all as a court know that there's things that need to be added to it, but it needs time to look at it.
Let me ask you a question. So you're proposing, or potentially proposing, you're saying, or at least telling the public, that we can go down to 45-cent overall tax rate. Is that what you're saying?
That's what your book says. That's what it says.
That's what the tax assessor collector had to show.
That's right.
That's the no new revenue.
That's right.
That's the no. So that would mean there would be no raises.
That's exactly right.
There would be nothing increased in our budget. It would be the exact same budget as this year.
That's exactly right.
That budget is $1.8 million deficit.
Yeah, if I was proposing that solid, then I would not be taking that into consideration. I'm saying, though, there is room to have some consideration for the constituents instead of having the full 100% gain. A lot of people are thinking that this budget is being cut by, or the 7 cents off the rate, and it's not. The absurd evaluations that the state have put on us have put the people in a different perspective on what their taxes are going to be this year, and we're going up the maximum amount at the 50 cents.
Let's put it this way. Since I left in 2006, this is the first time that I know of that the entire budget with all the supplemental data has been put on a screen for everybody in the courtroom to see. I did that every year I was here those last 8 years. So I'm doing the same thing. That's called transparency. I had to file that budget by August the 15th. Then we do workshops. There's no sense putting a document up there where you haven't put any estimated things of what you're going to do. So what I've done is about as transparent as it gets. It's on the website. Anybody can look at that budget document. I'm already getting questions from the community, and I don't mind answering their questions. I got no problem with that. But this is my duty to do this, and it's like you're saying that you would rather have come in here and set a workshop with a blank document, and you got to look at every line item. When everybody's made their request, you got the yellow book. A lot of them didn't request anything except for raises. And what I did was exactly.
That's right. But if you could have had a workshop before and taken us into consideration before you decided to
That's not-
reevaluate our employee, let me finish. Before, you reevaluated our employees and gave raises to ones that you don't know them. So, I mean, but you come in and gave them all raises and put them all to where you want them to be. And you could have had that first workshop to see, or even run by us, that you wanted to add a certain percentage to what would we be interested, where would we like to enhance? You know, well, we didn't have that opportunity, but it's out there now that you're giving them all a raise for that, and puts us in a situation to where you're gonna do it, and, you know, we didn't have no say over it. So I think that, yes, an early workshop would have been a benefit to us, you know, to at least be able to
I
do it.
agree with you, Commissioner, that does put us in a situation where it's been put out there, it's been on slides, it's on camera, that all these raises were offered, and us as stewards of the county money. I'm not saying anything's wrong with what you did and timeline, all that, you did what you're supposed to do. But by not having the workshop, all these employees and stuff have seen all these great raises they're anticipating they're gonna make, but it's gonna be our job if we feel the budget don't support it, if we feel we need to bring the tax dollars down a little bit to save the constituents money, we might not be able to provide that, but that falls back on us that they were offered, they thought they were gonna get a $5,000 raise, and I'm telling them it's only gonna be the $2,000 that everybody gets. It kind of put me in a bad light because I'm not watching out for the employees, which is wrong. I've watched out for the employees all years I've been here. Okay. But I'm just saying to go along with y'all's discussion right there, yes, one workshop ahead of time would have been nice for that. And like he said on his employees, I've got employees that got adjusted up. They've seen it now. They're expecting that from me. But like I say, it wasn't made aware whether that employee has a CDL. This employee doesn't. Why I have them structured where I have them, where Mark has his structure, where he has them, where the sheriff has his structure. So yeah, it would have been nice to have one, but I'm with Commissioner Chapin this morning. I'm not prepared, and I know the judge wasn't planning on going through all this morning.
But it would also allow us to give time to express ourselves of where our concerns are with the constituents themselves, because there's a lot of struggles out there. The economy has not, you know, strengthened at all. Nobody at home has been getting any, you know, raises, any kind of, increase of their income to be able to have any enhancements themselves. And that would have been something else we could express in the early workshop, knowing in and going, you know, because right now, if we don't go up to this maximum amount of taxation, we don't have enough money to support, you know, this proposed budget. So now if we don't restructure and redo to put, you know, to create something that will help, you know, these households, I mean, everything has to be changed, and that would have been something we could have known ahead of time a little bit.
Well, I think that, you know, I would say this, that the communication part of doing the budget this year, I would say a little bit of it was off. I mean, it was a good budget that you prepared, a good starting point. If there could have been a moment where we would have had, like one time where you presented it to us, we could have looked at it a little more and went over it and went. My biggest problem that I have is the county property tax rate. Now we have full taxation from Sanderson's Farm. That's all entities. Last year we received our biggest part of that. This year it's fully off of abatements, from your chicken houses to all of the entities. That is a large portion of the tax base coming to Anderson County now, along with the high appraisals that all the state of Texas did, along with the properties. So we have new realistic property hitting the road, and we have high appraisals. It made our budget go up tremendously for what Anderson County is going to accept in. People are getting told that the state of Texas dropped the tax rate to give the homeowners some relief. The last 2 or 3 years, they have been raising it. That's why we've had $64 or $65 billion surplus on the state budget. That is too much. Technically, for us to give our constituents something back, we have to decrease our tax rate more than what's shown.
Did you know that is the largest tax rate decrease in the history of this county?
I understand.
7 cents.
But see,
that is a lower tax rate than when I was here.
I understand.
In 2006.
But that was enhanced by the evaluation.
That's what I'm going to say. Even if
Not
any
us
of us
doing
was
it.
not here on the court,
That's right.
it would have fell on whoever was sitting here. They'd have been in the same shape because the state of Texas put them in this shape.
That's right.
So yes, I've been here going on 17. Well, I've been here 17 years. You were here time before, longer than that, and now you're back again. It's no disrespect to you, but that was not you, that was not me, that was not anybody on this court. So now we're in a position where we have to be at liberty to our constituents, or we're gonna keep milking.
That's right.
And that's not us, that's the state of Texas.
That's right.
That's your legislative, and that is your senate.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I'm happy that we're getting to cut the tax rate. We cut it
are.
3%, 3 cents last year. I'm happy we're cutting it 7. But in my opinion, that's the minimum we have to
Thank
do
you.
by
Well, that's what I
state.
said.
or-
I
They
think we
cut
can
us to
go
7.
more than the minimum.
Yeah, but they brought these evaluations up and forced down, and that's what I say, it's deceiving. People say, it's the greatest tax cut. No,
It's
you're
not.
forced to go down to that.
It's not.
If
And
we,
you're
if
still
we
gonna be
exceed it by
charged.
1/100th of a cent, it goes to the voters for they to vote on it.
So I think,
And the people don't know this.
In
So
that
last
same
year, I
document
proposed a
right
higher
here
tax
says that.
decrease than what we
but I
had.
think,
But we met
what
in the
I
middle.
hear from y'all this morning, y'all in agreement that y'all would be happy to go down more than the 7 cents.
Oh, we could go to 10 more, I'm
So
sorry.
there's other options that I will discuss
I'm
during the
sorry.
budget workshops, what I would like to add to that to, also above the 7 cents, things to
Well,
help individual households.
I think that
Last
the
year I proposed
constituents of
5.
this
We did
county
good.
are just as important as our employees. I think that they are the reason of our existence and our service. I think the employees and, our responsibilities are to the constituents first thing. And this is not a package that's gonna cater to them, not one iota, not one thing it's gonna give to them. And I'm not saying that we have things, we know our weaknesses. But, there's been times before where we've not gotten raises and we've not made increases because if we had, we would have had to put more burden on the people. And the people can't take that right now. And these evaluations, they're controlled by the state. A lot of people think we're doing it.
May I ask the tax assessor one question? Overall, what was added to the county's financials this fiscal year?
You talking
Are
about
you talking about the
assessment?
revenue?
Yes.
Are you talking about
I know it.
the
Yeah,
property
billion
tax?
Nearly $1
revenue?
billion last
$1
year, it was
billion.
$179
For the
$1
million.
billion.
Yeah,
And
and
we
this
have
year-
a fund balance that will support us well beyond 3 months.
Yes.
Well beyond.
Well,
So if we have to cut into our fund balance to give raises and everything else, I believe
But-
it's time for us to step
That's
up
right.
and we can do
That
that for
budget
the people.
that's in front of you already cut into your fund balance.
it
as
is
well.
cut into our
understand
fund
you
balance,
want
but the
to
fund balance belongs to the people.
Well,
And
you
if
know-
it's
Thank
something
you.
that we have, that's what we got it for to go back to.
Well,
But
okay.
if these Senate bills passes and
Well,
they
I'm
start
sorry, I
lowering.
can't even get a word in, so
Well,
let's go ahead.
you can, but if you, I feel the same way sometimes, Judge, but if you
Well,
get
this isn't a
where,
political forum.
yeah, then if that's the case, whenever the Senate bill passes and they start getting more, lower, more access to their home exemptions and stuff like that, and we end up getting less revenue, I don't know how we're gonna support, this budget, because that's fixing to happen this year.
Judge, I think you
Well, I
presented a
can tell
good
you
budget.
this, if there's 3 people today, it says take action. If you wanna go back and take all the raises out and start again, but I don't think that's the right thing to do.
I don't think
see
that's
that
the right
got-
say that.
That got thrown up pretty quick, that we want to go back and take all the
Nope.
raises out.
Nope.
We want to give raises,
Okay.
I'm thinking I won't give more than 2,000, but I think
Yes.
what's getting addressed here,
That was
you
me.
did what you was required by law to do to get this.
And there was a
But
lot of
if,
stuff that I
I
didn't put in.
understand, you did, and if we could have sat down before this and helped you during this process, because we're willing to help, we might could have these discussions we're having today that you said sounds like a political forum. We could have had it
Transparency,
then,
that's
and
right.
kind of been on the same page, because you just said then that we can take these raises out. Believe people, I'm not trying to take your raises out, but some of y'all have been offered a raise that I feel a $10,000 raise for one employee is going to be a difficult situation for me to swallow, okay? And so, yes, we're going to have individual deals to rate, and this county is trying to get to the point where everybody's equal, everybody gets a participation program or trophy, no matter how well you're doing your job, everybody gets the same thing. And I don't think that should be the case with elected officials. I think it's up to each elected official to determine which employee they need to be compensated in a certain area. That's just my opinion as an elected official, that I know my employees better than anybody else, what raise I want to give to each individual employee. Now, I'm okay with the 2,000 across the board, but when we go higher than that, I think it falls to the elected official to determine who deserves what and what.
But-
So I don't want it put on me today that I'm trying to take anything away from the employees. Okay, I'd like to give them more than 2,000. If we can work it out, we will work it out. We can get more than 2,000.
Right.
It's our job sitting up here to the constituents there in the county. If we can give them more than a 7 cent tax cut, I think it's our duty to do that and not take it to where the state says you're either gonna have an election or you roll it back 7
Yes.
cents and say, we're rolling you back 7 cents, but we're still making money. We're gonna take that money and we're gonna disperse it all across the county. Maybe we don't, maybe it needs to be more than 7 cents. And if it is, we won't have all this money to disperse across the county. And some of these employees who have seen on the board what they're gonna make are gonna be disgruntled with their,
Yes.
elected official, that they're not getting what they were
But-
promised they were gonna get that day.
Yes.
But the lash is gonna come back on the 5 people sitting on this court, or 4 of them, because one of them, I done offered y'all that. So that's where I kind of stand with it. I know we need to have workshops. I just think if we would have had one before, we could have had these statements today made then, and we could all been closer to the same page, because I feel we got a lot of work to do with it. And I'm not trying to take anything away from any employer, anybody. I'm just watching out for constituents of Anderson County and the employees of
Well,
Anderson
but
County.
before Judge had said that they'd always built, you know, if it was 200 for everybody, if it was 1,000 for everybody, everybody got it. Today, it's from 2,000 to 10,000. It's all over the map. So that's also been brought up. Why are they getting more than us? Why are they? And that's the same thing. I mean, so it's kind of a
Can I get
itchy
a word
subject
in
with them.
as
It's
well?
your floor.
Can I get a word in this? When I took office in '99, salaries were spread all over the board. Because this person, because of where they worked or who they know, well, their salary was this. There was times where the court would come in here and after the budget was set, they'd wait 2 or 3 months and they'd raise this employee and they'd raise this employee. I'm seeing the same thing at different times in the past. And now some of the employees, because of some of those things that happen, are even talking to me. Well, why can't I get a salary like this? Well, what you have to do as a county judge, sometimes in the proposed budget, is take the bull by the horns and do one time, you go through, and I had to do this in 2000, the court supported me. The court supported me, and we gave raises, and we leveled people out, okay? Here's a good example. Constables are at 57,000. Every other elected official in this county is gonna be at 63.5. Okay, 63.5. They were in the 50s. I didn't bring them up to 63.5. I brought them up to 60. Okay? Our constables work and do a lot of work that they even supplement and answer calls to the sheriff's department. Some things they don't even have to do, they do. So I looked at that. I looked at you got people making in the clerk's offices a wide range. They all do similar functions and their all jobs are reported. Some are making 32, and that's what, I'll put this slide up here. Let me put it back up here. This is part of the cause of where we're at today. You gotta kind of do things a little different sometimes. And y'all did that last year. You did the 2,000 across the board. But you have a gap that gets wider if you don't make a little few changes. We could do, my thinking is, let's get everybody where they're kind of leveled out and then proceed from there, and their longevity and their step pay would take care of their seniority as a group. But if you got somebody at $32,000 and you got other people doing similar functions at 38 and 40, then I'd like to give them 40,000 in the clerk's office. Their money wasn't there, so I didn't even attempt it. You know, I'm trying to use rationale. There were other things like road and bridge, jailers. Like I told y'all the other day, your road and bridge people, they're out there at 3 o'clock in the morning, they're cutting trees down. They're emergency responders like them. So my rationale was we did a lot of stuff for the sheriff's department. The last 2 years the court did. So why not do a little bit of that for the rest of the employees? They're just as important to me as anybody. And so I leveled your road and bridge. If they weren't making 44, I just brought them up to what a jailer was. That was my rationale. I'd like to go into 45. The money wasn't there. So that's what that was my rationale. You got the county clerk, the district clerk, the tax assessor collector. You saw all the fees that all those offices are collecting. They're working and collecting fees that help generate the money that runs this budget. We got to stop turnover. turnover causes mistakes. When you got people in there that are trained and experienced, and you can keep those people, same philosophy as with the sheriff's department. We needed to stop the turnover, and that's happening now because we have them at a competitive salary. And the clerks have talked to me about trying to get some of those people up so they don't lose them to other offices or to some of the law offices or whoever in the county. You get them trained. It's the same philosophy that y'all use in the sheriff, and I totally understand. You got people that are peace officers and you're paying them $39,200, and somebody down the road's paying them $45,000 or $48,000 or $50,000. You're a training ground. It's the same thing for the clerk's office. That was my rationale. All I was trying to do is kind of level some of these people out for the responsibility that they have, because if you look at some that are making $50,000 and $60,000, other people have the same responsibility. So I didn't try to bring them up to what everybody was at. I tried to bring them up some for the responsibilities that they had. I'd like to have done more than proposed. The money was not there when I saw that we had a deficit budget. Now, these are some things that I need to apprise you of, okay? Number one, and you probably don't know this because I didn't know it until Megan informed me, because she got something. So that this is what I was talking about when we were talking about the retirees. I need to bring you up to speed on something. We have a $7 million deficit in the retirement program. Anderson County does, not the retirement system. Anderson County has a $7 million deficit in a retirement system. So how did that happen? I don't know. I want to know just like y'all want to know. So I had it in the budget because we've got to pay that back down. Or some of these younger employees, when it comes to retirement, I worry about what's going to happen to them, okay? So I meant to tell you that the other day. If y'all remember, I said, Megan, when we get through, I need to come back to that. So we have a $7 million deficit in the retirement system. So I had it in the proposed budget. Because we talked about it, I said, I'm not giving them millions of dollars to pay that deficit down, because I want to know how it got to where it's at. That could be poor investments. I don't know what it is.
There's many reasons why. When I
Yeah,
spoke with
and she talked to
TCDRS,
them a little about it.
and they
Go ahead.
said giving retiree COLA raises, and then possibly the poor investments, and then inflation. They said there's many reasons, and TCDRS said that they would come talk to the court if y'all wanted to be explained a little bit better.
One of my concerns is, if you're an investment officer, and the investment officer for the retirement system taught my investment school when I got my certification in 2000. And the first thing, and Tara will tell you, she is our treasurer, and that's what our policy is. She and Megan make the investments. And I showed you that our interests are up because they're making good investments. But your first number one priority is safety of principal. So how are we $7 million, when we've been making those payments why are we $7 million in deficit in our account? So I'm thinking, we've got to start paying something now. We can't just worry about it later. We've got to start. So I had $500,000. But when we got to $1.6 million deficit, and then we found out, because we were right up to the wire on finally getting exactly what we needed. Or am I wrong, Margie? I mean, we finally got the exact numbers for our no new revenue and our voter approval rate. So we were working with estimates is what we were working for a long time. I had another $400,000 in road and bridge for construction. I had to go back and take it out. Instead of giving y'all $200 in your road construction, I had $400,000 because of the road oil. I had to go back and take that out. So that's $900,000 I've already trimmed from the budget. And then we went back and trimmed some more in different places, capital outlay and whatever, okay? So I'm trying to look out for the constituents. I was bringing it to the court today about this, trying to at least pay something towards the retirement system. And Megan's going to have to explain it. I understand it. But if we paid $500,000, our fees in the budget go down. what we're gonna have to pay for each employee. But we're paying down our deficit at the same time. And so what we were proposing for the retirees technically would only cost us over 50, what we had over 50,000, I think it was 79,000 in the budget, okay? If we take that approach, we're paying down our deficit, at the same time we're making a wash on the retiree increase. They hadn't had one since 19, so we put it in there. We've had it in there since we started the budget. We started with $2,000. This is the way I approached it. The first run we did, we put $2,000 increase for everybody. That was it. To see where we were at financially. And again, we were using estimates. When we got that down, it looked like we were gonna be able to, my goal is that deficit was gonna be zero. That was my goal. And I thought the voter approval rate was gonna be a little higher based on the first estimates. Then it wasn't, okay? So we went right back, we used our 2.5 cents of unused increment. And that's where it put us at the 50.7 cents, okay, on the voter approval rate, okay? So I'm sitting here looking at a $1.6 million deficit. The thing about it is some of those things in there were one-time expenditure. Some of the things in capital outlay. In other words, if we were in a bind next year, we could go back and we wouldn't have to do some of that. So I can justify taking out a fund balance because we had a healthy fund balance. Okay, and I agree with you. Yes. You know, some things we can do out of fund balance, but I've seen counties where you overdid it, and then you're in a bind. And reoccurring costs, you got to watch your reoccurring costs. So I would like to have done more with the raises, but I didn't. Okay, just like you said, you'd like to do more for the raises too, and I think everybody would like to do that. So I'm trying to give you a snapshot with this. The proposed budget is basically an educated guess at where we're at. That's where I wanted to start with. And looking at the deficit budgets from prior years, I think it's right here. Let me see. Let's see what that graph is at. I mean, we've done as much as 2.2. My standpoint, we never did over 900,000, and that was for some one-time, real big one-time deals. About $500,000 was as much deficit as I ever did, and I didn't get the chance to go back and look at every one of them. The only thing added there was not reoccurring costs; they were one-time expenditures. We did a capital outlay to replace all the computers in this whole county, and that was back then $250,000 was worth more than it is now. So I see one-time expenditures. So if you take the 400,000 that I added to road and bridge, okay, and you take, just like the slide, let me get the right one here. Well,
It's in there.
it's in there, just a second.
Judge, why are you looking for that?
Yeah.
I mean, I like to state that I know you feel that you may be feeling like, or I'm assuming that you're feeling like you may be under attack.
Oh, I kind of feel that way.
But I want you to know from my
I think probably
standpoint,
those watching at home kind of think that.
I wouldn't
too,
think
but-
so. I wouldn't think so because if we had our, if
And I
we've had our
appreciate-
budgets televised, as you say, which people have always been offered to come to court and they haven't. This is the first time that I've been here in 17 years that we've never had our roundtable discussions out there before anything was proposed or presented.
For 2021's budget, we didn't. We sat right here.
I think, but we still had our discussions and everything right here, though.
The workshop we had right here.
Yes, it wasn't in this format to where we couldn't change up anything or
It was a workshop.
move stuff around. We had an actual discussion, just like we were out there at the round table. And what I'm saying here is, we have to look at overall the county debt obligations, operations that we need to have, plus with everything else combined to come up with a proposed county tax rate that's effective for the people. You of all people know, myself personally, have been here with open arms with you ever since you've been here. We worked on stuff for the COG together, everything, and I believe that we should continue to work on stuff. I just want you to know that I think there's other members here, if they could, and we know that we can't have two or more working and talking about certain things in the county without coming to Commissioner's Court. We understand the quorum rule, but we are willing to help. And I think that some information was brought out at the last minute or at a different time than what was needed for us to sit down and get everything together. I know that's kind of been a pattern this year, and I think that's where all our turbulence and stuff has been coming in. I can't say that you feel under attack alone, because at times it could be like we're getting attacked. And I know that there's issues going on in the county that brings other members up into stuff also, but we have to understand we are the court and we're working for the people. So let's try to be stewards of the tax dollars for the people in an appropriate manner and understand that we're all here to work together. If we could do that, I mean, that's just like Democrat, Republican. There's nothing getting done in Washington or anywhere because all they're doing is fighting and they're using their sides and they're not working for the people. I don't want Anderson County to turn into that. I want Anderson County to work for the people. And I think we can do that. We just have to let down some of our guards and let certain people come in and help. And if we can get it done. I think everybody should be here willing to work and get it done that way. Am I wrong?
Commissioner, that's been my attitude since I walked in the door,
Yes, sir.
okay? I've done nothing but roll up my sleeves and try to get repairs done that hadn't been done for a long time. A lot of it y'all didn't even know about.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've done nothing but tried to do the best I could for the taxpayers of this county. And this budget right here is part of that effort.
Yes, sir.
And I didn't mind showing them. Now, if we have to make cuts, then I realize that's the court. That's why I didn't come in here and start this morning. We could have had a discussion, and if there's got to be cuts, then that's a court decision.
Yes, sir.
Okay? So, but I'm trying to give you my rationale for the budget, okay?
And I think your proposal is a good start.
You got a different approach
Yes, sir.
than in the past, so that's changed, and people are a little resistant to change, and I understand that.
And you have your own way
But
to get
by the
these.
statute,
your way.
I followed the statute, okay? So, looking here, when we were talking about the $1.6 million deficit, so 400,000, and this is what I was trying to point out, other expenses, 180 are in capital outlay, so that's 580, and then the other 75,000, so that puts us at about, what, $650,000?
55, yeah.
Okay, that right now, we could cut from the budget, but I don't wanna cut it from the budget because I think it's needed. These are things that are a lot asked for. Y'all's road and bridge, it made sense to me, you know, when Kenneth told me that what the oil was doing, it made sense to me. We've got a fund balance. Let's take some out of fund balance. And you know, I was of the mind, because funds, you need to understand my perspective, because I sit down with outside auditors and things like that before. I saw the fund balance, and here's the history of it. For 13 years, I was in county government, and I wasn't on this court. And the only thing the commissioners did was $600 a year for 13 years. Every year, we can only give you $50 a month. Okay? So that, you know, I'm working off my past history too. And I said, you gotta be kidding. And guess what? Nobody ever showed them what the fund balance was. You know what it was? $11 million. I was the first county judge that I know of to put it up on the screen. I did overlays back then. We did it on the copy machine like the teachers used to do. But I was bound and determined I was gonna put it up for everybody to see. I put the proposed budget up every year, okay? Just like I'm doing today, except I understand PowerPoint, okay? So that's 650,000 right there. So that lowers that underneath $1 million. That's got to come out of fund balance. Okay, there's probably a few other places. You know, Doug called me or in his proposal, he wanted another truck. I thought they all got trucks this year, and he didn't get one. So I cut IT's budget a little bit and put his truck in there, okay? Because he was making a valid request, okay? So we moved a lot of things around, and we cut the budget ourselves from the very beginning. So this is an educated guess, and I wanted y'all to understand, I'm trying to level out the salaries for the really low-paid people. And as you saw, I didn't do that for some of my departments. I left that to the court to make that decision, okay? And y'all, and Greg, you even brought up that they may need to be raised in maintenance.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
I did too.
So I didn't do that because I felt like there's decisions the court needs. We need to do something on the Veterans Office.
Yes, sir.
I brought that to your attention the other day. Okay, so now I wanted to start this on Friday, but I worked Saturday and Sunday putting the rest of this together. I worked Wednesday night till 8 o'clock, Thursday night till about 7 o'clock. I worked, and so what I'm saying, there's a lot of work that went into this to prepare it. And a lot of it was that deal on the sheriff's department, the $500,000 that I put in there. I got that last Thursday. I put that in on Saturday. I had to go back and expand all those slides all day Saturday so everybody could see it. So I'm just telling you.
Judge, I don't think anybody's here to argue that you and Megan and whoever else have to not put time in this. I'm not here to argue that fact at all, right? All my point after the discussion got to it was a while ago, the point I want to express, it states in here that county judge as budget officer, the county judge serves as a budget officer for the commissioner's court. This commissioner's court's here to help you. If, I know you wanted to do it this way and we've done it different paths, but if we could have sat down and discussed those issues, we could have addressed them right then before you had to go through all the problem putting it in there. We might have could discuss where we all stand on salary, what's going to work, but now it's been presented to us and we need to have the workshops like you're going to schedule, that we're going to sit down and discuss this, but it's going to make the process longer for us because we're just becoming aware. And like I say, no one's saying what you did was wrong, that it was out of statute.
It was a good start.
That it was the judge's job. I'm just saying as a commissioner court member that I'm here to help you with this. And if we could have helped beginning the last 2 months when you was working this, we could have put a little input in and maybe been a little closer than we are to this day. But that's all I'm trying to say. Believe me, I'm not attacking you on any way that what you done is wrong. I'm not saying that. It's just we have some things to
I mean, it's
address.
just, I'm saying the proposed way that it's proposed to us today is unfavorable to the constituents. And I think that we need to look at that as a whole, and if what we give in-house, I think we need to give outwards to them as well, because I know they have struggles at home, and I know that they're not getting the gains that we're taking in. And that's where I want to look at it a little closer, and I've not had time to be able to really go through it. You know, I've had 24 hours, and I spent most of that doing it.
Well, some things I wanted to explain today
Yes,
that I
sir.
prepared to explain
Yes, sir.
is so the constituents do understand, okay? The homestead exemption that because Senator Nichols came over and we sat down for a long time, and he was explaining it right before the legislature passed that bill to me, how it was going to affect us, how it was going to affect the schools. And so on the and Margie and I have had conversations to make sure I understood everything that she was working on. So the homestead exemption is only for schools. I've had people asking me, are we going to get the $100,000 homestead exemption on the county side? That's not true. They did not do that for counties and cities. They did it to get to school. When we were at the Anderson Palestine meeting, I raised the question down in Austin, talking to some of our representatives and senators, that, you know, it would be nice if they could cap their appraisals and at the same time lower the school taxes. You know, when I got on school board in '88, it was 80%. 80% of the school funds were funded by the state. 20% were funded by the local level. Now it's just opposite. 80% is funded by the local, and 20 is by the legislature. So it's just a reverse. And of course, my attitude was, hey, let's meet in the middle, at least maybe a 50-50 deal, you know? And get because everybody, the school tax, when they come and they pay, Margie gets to hear all about it because, and her staff gets to hear about it because we collect taxes for everybody. And they see that tax statement, so they thank the county commissioners. And it's not the commissioners that does that. If you look at the tax rate, and the county taxes are the lowest tax bill that you have on your statement.
It is.
And it always has been. And that's why I was trying to show the only two tax revenues we have, the biggest ones, are property taxes and sales tax. By collecting sales tax, that offsets property tax.
That's right. Lowers the debt on the.
So what we collect in sales tax brings down what we have to tax for property taxes. But as you stated, the legislature puts caps on us too, okay? But the sales tax does figure into the formula to figure the voter approval rate and the no new revenue rate that Margie has to use, okay? So people are not gonna get $100,000, going from $40,000 to $100,000 homestead exemption on their county taxes. It's only gonna be on the school taxes, okay? But I guess I'm looking at it from a taxpayer standpoint myself. By giving the $100,000 exemption for the schools, my school taxes should go down, like everybody else. That ought to be a pretty good help. And by seeing us being able to actually lower the tax rate at the county level, with no, you know, we're not going to get the homestead deal, but we're lowering the tax rate by 7 cents, just like y'all did 3 last year. So over 2 years, that's a 10-cent tax rate cut. Okay, and so those two things together, the 100,000 homestead exemption for the schools and lowering the tax rate for the county, their tax statement should come down. Okay, and now the other factor that we have to look at is, and I was trying to kind of get an answer on this, and I'm probably going to have to look some more. But if we go below the voter approval rate, if we lower it from that 50.78 cents or whatever, if we lower it any more, then that's going to create a lower. My concern is for the formula next year that the tax assessor collector will have to plug in the numbers for the no new revenue rate is going to be lower if we lower the tax rate any more than what we do. So if that happens next year, from what Senator Staples explained to me, that anybody on non-exempt properties, okay, in other words, not homesteads, but other properties, anything like a business, anybody under $5 million, they're capped where the appraisals cannot go up any more than 20%. You know, we saw some 50%, maybe more, I'm not sure. But they did cap that. That's for 3 years in a row, okay? So if that's the case, then when I worry, if we plug it, if we go down anymore, the no new revenue rate's gonna go down too. And when that's plugged in, are we gonna be locked in where you understand my concern about we might, by using our increment, in some counties have said, use it or lose it this year, you know, and we're hearing, no, we might need to save a little bit. But when these numbers came in and I had to start cutting $1 million out of the budget automatically, then I felt like we've got to stay there to be able to do what we need to do. I don't think I got so wild with the money. I'm not, you know, I'm protecting that fund balance too, just like y'all are. And I think I pay taxes and y'all pay taxes. We're all taking care of ourselves right along with the constituents. So,
Well, one thing that that I was, one of the things that I was gonna address there on these budget issues, if the property tax rate doesn't get dropped, there's something this county used to do and other counties do, and I want to discuss this, and of course Megan be the ones with the numbers, that if we go back and offer the discount rate if you pay your taxes early, that's a savings to the taxpayers if they have the ability to do it. It's not for everybody, because everybody can't do it, but it is something we might could offer to help them save money. That if you come pay yours in October, you save I'm going off memory now, 3%. If you come in next month, it was 2%. And I was gonna recommend the court this year that we look back into that and see about maybe implementing some of that. Well, that won't be the reoccurring thing, like you said, or if it drops down, we're locked in. You know, that could be something we could offer the taxpayers out there, that if they have the ability to come in and pay it early, they can see
They can
their
save
savings
money,
right
yeah.
there.
And see, we did that.
Yes.
We did, that changed after I left, okay? And the good thing about that, and I don't disagree with you, okay? I'm gonna look at that without a problem. And the thing you look at from our side of it is, okay, if you have the percentage drop for October, you pay your taxes October, November, December.
Yes.
Okay? I always paid mine early, because I like the discount.
You get the discount.
And everybody else did too. So by January 1st, most people have paid their taxes. So you've got your revenue when you start your budget. It's already, but the offset of that is if they pay their taxes early, they did get a discount. At the same time, if the interest rates are decent, then we have our money and we're growing interest on it.
That's correct.
So it's
That's
kind of
correct.
a wash.
Well, that,
Yes, sir.
to bring that up,
Yes, sir.
I mean, we don't have to discuss that. I was just saying, that's something else I was wanting to bring up, that if we didn't lower it any more than the 7 cents, that's something else we could offer. Yes, it's gonna come back on the county. As far as revenue, we don't have to fund this budget, but it's something we could offer the citizens. You know, another, something that helps. You walk up here and your tax bill's $3,000, which we know that doesn't come right to Anderson County. Probably 800 of it does. But if your bill's $3,000, you might pay $2,870. You saved $130. That's a savings immediately you see while you're writing that check.
But-
You know, so.
So, and things we'd have to have a discussion on. I thought I want them to walk up Margie's window and they get 3% on their county taxes, but they don't get it on their
I know,
school
and
and the
that, but
cities
with that,
and the college. So
that goes back to the legislation letting everybody pay their county bill here instead of going
I'm
to
thinking
the,
ahead, okay?
instead of going to the ISD and paying their taxes at the school where the complaint should go is to that school.
That's right.
But they come to Margie now, and it's Margie's fault. their
Well, we
taxes
tried to
are
do
up.
that, you know.
But
When
they-
they
I
did
know,
the
but it's just
179
part-
million last year, that's what I told them, we need to just get out of the tax business. But the legislation had passed that if it's over 30,000 residents, that the county had to collect it. That's what,
Yeah, we don't.
we had no
didn't have a
choice. We had no choice.
Yes, sir.
Because it just put the burden on us, and we're getting $1 a partial, and that doesn't even pay for our process of what we do. Like I say, my main concern for this is for sure the 7 cent decrease on these taxes today. The constituents of the county are gonna pay more in taxes than they did last year because of the evaluations.
But part of that is also, we have new value that came in.
That's some
In
of
other
it.
words, not just the value's going up, but some of that value that we have is new value.
New value.
It's their first time.
Right?
And right now, and I'm trying to look ahead too, we've got, what, a $608 million solar farm. We've got another $150 million solar farm at Cayuga. We've got a gas storage that's looking to come in here, and that's, what?
But it's
I
gonna
think
be
it was 80
minimum
to
income for
150
us though. I mean, 'cause we're giving these abatements
Well,
first, so
I
it's gonna
understand.
not have much, it's impacting the schools.
I understand.
You know, big time, us minimum.
So,
We have another manufacturing company they're gonna come to us because they've already broke ground, and it's not an abatement. It's in PEDC right now. It's gonna be
It's gonna be.
what you call it, 301, whatever. They're gonna still pay taxes, but they're gonna bring us in more money.
I understand. So, I mean, I want y'all to understand my philosophy. I don't have a problem with the people of this county not understanding my philosophy. They may disagree with me. But one of the things that I was adamant about is trying to do something for the county employees, because they're our greatest asset, and I think y'all agree with me on that.
Yes, sir.
Because they're the ones that are in the trenches, going out there and visiting with the people visiting with people at the desk and taking care of our customers and stuff, so. No, I got something, but I'll take one, yes. So, like I said, we started out, we put the $2,000 raise in, then we went back after we saw what that was, and then we tried to balance some other things out. We added the $500,000 to pay down the retirement system and put other things in that I felt like we could do, and let me go back to what I was talking about for just a second on the fund balance, okay? You kinda gotta have you've got, and it's, again, an educated guess, but when you're looking at the fund balance, you're not, like I was talking about, they just said they couldn't give raises, but we had $11 million. You're not supposed to have a savings account. You're not supposed to take the
You've
big,
always
That's
been-
right.
you're not supposed
That's
to
right.
take the
That's
big
where I was
money.
going, Judge.
And I think this whole court
That's where I was
agrees with
going,
there, Judge, that's
Okay.
over taxation.
Over taxation, understanding
That's
whatever.
Exactly where I was going.
But you never know when a COVID's gonna hit.
You
either.
gotta have it.
Now, let me,
It's still in
when I was
people's
sitting there
mind.
watching that, when all that was happening in 2020, Texas was okay, and they could pay their first responders, they could pay their employees. And the reason I knew why is because we had property tax. In those northern states, they wanted our federal dollars sent to them to pay their first responders. You know why? Because they had income tax, and all their businesses were shut down. Think about this, during COVID, y'all set the tax rate in 2019, okay? Everybody had paid their taxes in January, and I'm sitting there watching all this and listening to all the hype from up in the northern states. In January, by the end of January, Margie would have collected everybody's taxes except those that were not delinquent, okay? So when everything shut down March the 15th for COVID, payroll was still in the bank to pay the employees here. And so I saw that as a benefit to the people in Texas, that they still had people that could respond for EMS, from sheriffs and police all over the state of Texas, because of the difference between income tax and property tax. And in my opinion, Ben, is everybody talks about doing away with property tax. Nobody likes paying property taxes, okay? And I understand that. But until they come up and say, this is better, and then show everybody how it's gonna work, instead of some kind of experiment like a healthcare program that was an experiment, and we'll see how, after we pass it, we'll see how it works. I don't wanna see that in the state of Texas, and I don't think y'all do either. So, until we got something better, we've got property tax.
Yeah, state of Louisiana does the sales tax deal, so, and they don't do property taxes, but I wouldn't have a problem with the property tax if more people paid it, but about 50% of the people are property owners. And I know that some of them, you know, they're housed in apartments, apartment complexes, but they're still households with multiple people there that are not paying taxes. So the burden falls on the people that own the most of it.
And of course, the thing is on the people that rent, and there was part of the bill talked about renters. Renters pay taxes
Absolutely.
because the landlord is gonna
Pays
have to
the
go up
taxes.
on the rent to pay the taxes
He
as
has
they
to
go
pay
up.
it.
So the renter still pays the taxes, okay? So essentially, the landowner's the one that's gonna be responsible for that, but anyway,
Well, today, I
like
think you expressed to me today that we need to address, there's definitely one issue we need to address today, and that's the,
well, that was the main reason.
Yes, sir.
I might have set this later.
Yeah.
But Megan's put a timetable, y'all got your calendar. in
Yes,
there.
sir.
So I was trying to file it last Friday, but I wasn't ready to be able, I'd like to done that and started a workshop last Friday, and then we'd have had more time. But I had to put it on Monday. But the timetable is we've got to pass, for the timetable on all the notices that go in the paper, on the websites and everything else, and other things that are statutory requirements, then today we have to approve, if the court's able to do that, or it's gonna set us back, maybe into September on trying to approve a budget and a tax rate. So we need to approve the salaries for the elected officials today. And everybody's got a copy of that. So, and it was, you know, in the presentation on Monday. That's the only thing we really had to decide today.
Megan, didn't
And
we
that's
have
the
to,
reason for the workshop. Okay. It might
didn't
have
we go
been
back
later
into
in the week,
September once before?
okay?
I got you.
So that's,
It was several years ago.
Yeah,
I mean, you can adopt up until September
Yeah.
15th. It's
But I'm
just,
just saying, we did it once before. Yeah, no,
but I
I mean,
believe like
Judge-
the hearings have to be on a regular meeting. They can't be on a special meeting.
yes.
So this, I mean, typically the Commissioners Court adopts the last court in August. So that's what I was lining up with.
All right. Well, Judge, I mean, I have no issue with, going through knowing that we're gonna, be making changes to some of the big parts to this, presented, proposed budget.
and I wasn't necessarily saying we needed to make changes today, that this is the one thing we had to do. This was starting the discussion. That's what it was about. So,
I got you.
let me, one thing I wanna bring up, because I wanna look, and I told y'all the other day, at least we can start having some discussion, and I want you to look at the Veterans Office budget, okay? One thing is there was a rent for $10,800 when we were having to rent out to mom. They're needing some things. Now, we put a new roof on the building. We've gotten a new phone system with an extra phone line. We've gotten fiber optic in there, so they got internet. One of the things they need is a copier, a scanner, okay? The one that we got from the clerk's office, I'm talking IT, and they're saying there may be issues with it. Why not go ahead and get them a $300 copier scanner is all they really need down there. Because she needs to be able to scan some of the documents. So IT can get them that. I talked to them this morning again about it. And we need to talk, and I'll put this on the agenda, but it's still about budget. So I need to get another copier for the election office down there. So we need to, I'll probably put that on the agenda for Monday. Okay.
But the Veteran Services really needs to look at that Vernon needs an assistant.
I talked to him.
And if
I
he
said-
doesn't get it, he can't meet it. I sat there and they sit there for hours waiting on one man to take care of their job. He'd really like to have a lady.
It'll be 5 guys sitting in there, and, when he has help, it's good, but that little part-time budget runs out. And those guys sit there, they drink coffee, they talk, because
That's right.
they're old veterans and they have to wait for their services. But I think that's wrong the way we do a lot of our veterans, and I'm
there's
all
a-
for helping and
Okay,
giving them.
let's make sure everybody's clear about where we're at. He's on a contract.
He is.
He has a contract, and his salary is set by the contract. So I'm thinking, one, we need to consider, that's been there for.
Go over the
last few
contract.
years. So that needs to probably be increased,
That's right.
okay?
We need to go over the
We can
contract.
use the 10-8 for that, because we're not paying rent anymore, okay? So that's kind of a wash to do more part-time and consider his contract without increasing his budget, okay? We need to probably look at another part-time person or something, okay? And I don't know what the court wants to do on that, I'm just bringing it up, okay?
Did we ever actually use that 10-8? Or was it a
And
wash?
the other
It
thing
was
that
a
people
wash.
don't understand is they only work 3 days, they're open 3
That's
days
right.
a week, okay? So
That's another
that's
thing
why
to
they're
consider.
kind of part-time, okay?
But I mean, that's just one thing I'd like to see. I think that we contribute the minimum amount to our veterans, and I think they deserve more out of this court than what we've been given. And then Vernon and I discussed that if he could have an assistant, they could rotate times, open the doors more to these needs and what they've got. He's got a lot of young women that come in here and they don't want to talk to an older gentleman. They want to talk to a lady and would feel more comfortable for it. And he's got some, people that he would like to propose to us, and it's something that really needs to be looked at. I mean, I think they're happy where they're at. They've got a lot of room, a lot of parking. They need the services for the veterans. I mean, it's really a big need there.
But the building they're in, though, is not rented any longer. The
No, sir,
building is-
it's
That's
our
right.
building.
It belongs to
Yes,
us.
it belongs to the county,
That's
we're
right.
paying the utilities, we're paying the repairs, and so, and I talked to him about the other office, where the roof was leaking a little bit, Greg?
Yes.
And so I asked him, I said, that's not leaking anymore, so is that office functional if you had somebody else? He said, yes. And so I sat down with him last week, Cause I had, I wanted to see, what are your goals, what are you trying to do before we got into the discussion. So anyway.
With him last week too.
Oh, okay. All right, so we're all on kind of thinking along the same lines on that. I was trying to think through, Megan, was there some other things that I said that I forgot to talk about or anything?
No, I think it was just the sheriff's office grant and the TCDRS. I think that was it.
Is the sheriff's office cutting in for sure? Is that something that we can budget on? Or is it not?
I mean, it was, like I said Monday, I
Oh.
don't think we should, adopt it with this
Back to
budget
that.
because things have changed.
I've got a slide
But I mean,
I put
I
in
mean,
here, I don't know if I covered that or not.
Almost a for sure thing.
Process that we could even legally go through to put it in there.
There are counties that are doing it.
What I was thinking, Commissioner, was we could do kind of not put it in this budget, but a tentative budget. And we need to hear from, the sheriff's department on that, of what we discussed the other day about maybe the 6 jailers and 1 or 2 deputies. I put this in here because I did talk to Allison. I don't remember if I actually talked about this. I think I brought it up when we got off on something else, so. It's about the grant. And I just wanted to have that discussion so people would understand that. Okay, this was that document that I handed out to y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the second page or something. But if you look, the underlined area there at the bottom, it says the new law prohibits counties from reducing the sheriff's office funding due to the grant. In other words, a county couldn't say, oh, well, here's $500,000 in a grant. We're gonna reduce its budget and use that money. You can't do that. You can't supplant funds. It's the same with the district attorney's office. And I think everybody on the court understands that. But I wanna make sure the public understands. If somebody's saying, well, why don't you cut their salary over here, cut and get it out of here?
You can't.
This is specifically to enhance the sheriff's offices. And that was the legislative
After the
intent.
budget's put into place.
Right.
We do it after, yes.
Now, the sheriff will have to apply for the grant within 30 days. January 1st, the comptroller is actually gonna be the one that's putting the rules in place. And so we don't know all of the criteria just yet for the grant. So, but we can put a tentative budget, with input from the sheriff. And so at some point, we need to probably, I don't know if they're prepared to talk about it today or not, but, that's something I'm just trying to see where to start now. I thought we'd just kind of go through the budget, but I mean, if y'all have questions that you found already, then we could talk about it.
Well, at this point, I don't have all my questions. I'm still looking at it. So
Okay.
my personal opinion, I prefer we move the budget meeting to another day to give me time to look through more of it and see where I'm at. But I am prepared today that if we need to vote on this elected official salary, so Megan can get this published and get the notice sent out, that we can have that day. But me, as one voice on the court, I'd like to schedule another deal when I got.
I've got Lisa, I've got to ask her what the date was between my other schedule. I think it was next Wednesday. Would that work? Let me double check to make sure, but I think it was Wednesday.
At this moment, I'm open.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Cause I'd already planned to schedule another one. I knew we'd have to do one. So let me call her.
Judge, she's in court.
Oh, I didn't see you. I think it was Wednesday. I don't remember if it's morning or afternoon.
What time?
Judge, if you would, I know you said you're gonna try to address and see what the problem is with our retirement deficit. And, if you, call those people in and hear them, cause I'm like you, there was some poor investments or something somewhere. We shouldn't be that low and where we're at.
I can contact TCDRS
Okay, and
and
if
see
y'all.
if they would like to
y'all
come
get somebody
and talk at a
in,
workshop or a commissioner's court
Talk at a
meeting.
workshop, or if y'all had a meeting without a workshop, I would be there with you and Megan.
Well,
He said it was many, many
And
factors.
let me expand on that a little bit.
He said it was many factors,
If
not
the
just one.
court thought, just like we said, we've got a fund balance for one-time expenditures. I'd like for y'all to be thinking about this, because I felt like I took it out because that needs to be a court decision with the deficit that we had. So if y'all wanna put the 500,000 back in, I'd like for Megan to kinda explain it, and we can talk about it a little bit, what that would do, because it's gonna bring down the general fund of what we've gotta pay in, okay? And it's almost a wash to where it doesn't impact us as much as what we're thinking. So can you kinda, I know
It's, yeah.
it's a lot to absorb, but can you just kinda give a brief description?
If we put in a $500,000 expenditure payment to TCDRS, it would actually it would cause the rate to go down.
Yes.
So it would only actually impact the budget $450,000, approximately $450,000,
Yes, sir.
because it makes the rate go down.
Yes, sir.
So it doesn't really cost $500,000,
Yes, sir.
And
essentially.
we'll save 50,000.
50,000.
Okay, so on the 50,000, that would almost offset what we were putting in for the retiree.
COLA raise.
Okay,
Yes.
the 79,000,
Yes,
okay.
I understand.
So there's a benefit to possibly paying that down, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. That was better than I thought.
But we're still gonna be in a deficit of 6.5 million at that point.
Yeah.
But we've got to start on it.
Right, that's all I was saying.
Yes, sir.
You know, and what we could do if we put it in, then our payment wouldn't have to be paid now. So we could get an explanation and later decide, hey, you know, when we have to start making the payments in January, we're gonna have to have made a decision before the end of this year, okay? So we can adjust the budget if we have to. But I'm thinking, let's leave the budget on the retirees like it is now, in case we decide not to pay the $500,000, okay?
Exactly.
All right. All right, so. All right, well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and do this, and we can come back to the workshop if anybody's got any questions. I'll entertain a motion to approve the elected officials' proposed salaries for 2024 proposed budget. Do I have a motion?
Elected
You see, is that the way it's presented on this?
Yes, sir, as presented in the budget
Right
document
now,
filed with the county clerk's office, and it's in the green book. I'll put it up there.
It's on page 3.
No, you're correct. I didn't see that.
There it is.
I don't think I can expand it anymore. Yeah, that's, what'd you say, page 3?
Yes, sir, page
Okay,
3.
in the budget document. And,
I'll put that in the form of motion, Your Honor.
okay, motion by Commissioner Mims, do I have a second?
Just a second.
I did, somebody say that?
Yes, Mr. Dixon.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, you
I
still
wasn't
looking.
aware of this slide. I hadn't seen it yet, so I was taking a second to look at it, because this is what we'd be proving today. It's more than the 2,000 across the board. It's the adjusted rates down here also for the justice of the peace and the constables, correct?
The justice of the peace is
The JPs just got the
2,000.
2,000. Anything else, other than the 2,000 is longevity or step, okay? If their longevity went up, because how
But
many
you put
years
some
is it?
extra
You
in
get
the
one
constables.
fifty?
Yeah,
I
you
was
put
gonna
some
say
extra in
that.
the constable.
The constables, if they were not with the 2,000 at 60,000 on their base pay, then those were at 60,000. So I think they were somewhere, I've got my whole budget.
What's the justice of the peace for, what's it different?
The justice of the peace only got the 2,000.
Yeah, what's the other that's gonna be on our step pay?
On the justice of the peace? It's
Yeah,
the step and
39.
longevity.
That's what it's on, yeah.
Yeah, but they're trying.
But everything
that's
else
what I
is the
can't
same.
see. There's 1,600 on the, well, that's cell phone balance. 400 on.
Yeah, you brought the
Everybody got,
constables up from the 58.
everybody got the 2,000, but there's
Yes, sir.
the constable.
And a
Yes,
sheriff.
sir.
There's 1,900 that's not accounted for.
one of the things, and just past history, the constables used to be, in the old days, the same as the chief deputy. But I didn't think that was appropriate, because that was changed during the referendum.
Judge, you looking to see what they were last year?
Yeah,
55 to 67 all four.
I was trying to find the right page here. What was it, 51?
55 to 67 for all four of them.
That'll put them
Or so that would have put them in
57.
57,000. Yeah.
I'm not supposed
So
to
I-
sheriff at the 75.
When I did that, I balanced them with the captains
Yeah.
at the sheriff's office. In other words, they're, with the raise, they're at 60,000 in the sheriff's office, the captain's office.
Yeah, I don't know. What page? It says on page 3.
Page 3. They were at 55, so.
And this is where you're. This is where you're at. Pretty much equal. Pretty much
Well,
same
that's not
output.
That'll be this, but it'll be equal to.
All right, well, it's time to discuss it, cause I
Okay,
was,
Judge.
this it,
I know I made a motion a while ago to, accept the proposed budget, but I'd like to retract that motion one second.
Not to propose
I
budget.
mean, not the
propose
budget, but
salary
salary
for the
for-
division.
Yes,
Okay.
and, I would like to let the guys discuss a little bit.
That's fine.
Yes, sir.
So you're withdrawing your motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
55 to 67. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. And then what was that salary before?
Your question, Monday after Commissioner's Court, Tuesday,
Like it, maybe in the afternoon or something? Recess and come back?
Wednesday, afternoon, Friday.
Yeah, I think Wednesday'd be better.
Well, Monday.
Was it in the morning?
Afternoon, you got 10 o'clock.
Monday would be good, because we got court, and we come after court. That way we know everybody's here already.
I just don't know how long that court's gonna be. There's a lot of items. Looks like maybe
Well, I mean, we gotta do our job for the people, so we gotta stay late. We do with that court, we come back in 2 o'clock or so, and start
Let's
it.
just give you a few extra. I've got a court date too coming up, so. There's other things I gotta do too.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I'm trying to work around that schedule too. Cause I'm having to postpone some stuff for the, working on the budget and trying to make sure, I didn't know exactly what days we were gonna have, so I was trying to leave my schedule as open as I could.
Joey, would Monday afternoon be great for you? I know at the end of the week, it's kinda hard for you to be around. And I know,
Monday,
Whatever.
if we can come back another day after that too, maybe one.
I can't find something.
what you looking for?
I don't really know, Judge.
Are you looking for that day?
No, I've got that. I'm looking for something else, because that's what I was telling you, I hadn't had time. This,
You looking at,
I missed it the other day when it was presented to us about there was other salaries in here that increased more than the 2,000, and I just missed that the other day, so now it's been brought to my attention. I'm just looking at a few things. And also, if we did do this today, the 75, we talked about proposal for the sheriff, which it would have to be there if we talked about this grant deal, that we're pretty much would be putting
yeah,
that in
and I
place.
forgot to mention that,
but we have to.
Is it set at 75 on his base
So
salary?
we would be putting that in now, whether we
Yes, you
got it
have
or
to.
not.
Now,
We have to put it in because it has to be posted and approved.
Be at 75.
Because
Yes.
as elected officials, we can't
What's it
decide
now?
that later.
Yes,
All right,
I understand.
yeah.
And
By
that's-
law.
I'm just saying that's something that's brought to
So,
my
Judge,
attention.
And I thank you for bringing that up because I forgot to mention.
You remember we were in Galveston and, County Judge from Clinton County and, Ben Perry come up to me, that's one of the things he did, talk to me about, commission, about this here. And, he was explaining that, and so,
Believe me, I know.
yeah, there's no way around it, so we don't have to put the sheriff there at 75.
Well, I went up there after, I went to the truth and taxation deal in the early bird session. And after that discussion and then some more discussions about this with Jim and he talked to the comptroller's office.
Yes,
So I said, look, I'm hearing discussion by commissioners and county judges that, well, is there longevity gonna count? Is there travel gonna count? And I asked him, I said, we don't know the rules and we're not gonna know them until the comptroller, and I think they gotta come out in September. So it's gonna be after the budget process.
Yes.
We have to advertise all the elected officials' salaries and give them an opportunity for grievance or anything like that, okay? So if that's the case, then we gotta go through the grievance hearing. So, and set a grievance committee and all that. So, but what he indicated to me was that, and I asked him, I said, would it be the safest thing?
To go ahead.
Because I don't want to lose $500,000 for our sheriff's department.
That's correct.
And if we don't do it, and then they say, no, the base salary has to be 75, then we can't apply for the grant.
That's correct.
So I said, well, my approach is gonna be, we're gonna put it in there.
I think the difference was $1,400.
Yeah. So that, that's why that's in there like that.
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Yes, sir, above, yes. Yeah, another 1,400.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, it's 1,570. Not for 500,000.
And I just, I wanted to I put this on the record last year, and I just wanted to bring it back and make sure that it's in the minutes for this year. And it's related to my salary. Here's that. I thought I probably need to do that, so if there's ever a question, then it's already on the record. This is from the budget last year, and I memorialized it. Here's one for the clerk. You gotta pass that tomorrow. And essentially during And I thought we'd be real clear, so I've got the tape from the political forum. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, where we said
So,
that.
yeah, I don't want the people out here, I don't want the people out here to see what my proposed salary is and think that I didn't keep my word, so hang on just a second. Let me find it. This was in February of 22. Oh, hang on just a second.
Things playing, you don't have your volume.
Is-
on.
Oh, that's what it is,
Is
yes.
it on your hearing aids?
Yeah, no, I made sure it wasn't in my hearing aids, okay? I worried about that.
Yes, sir.
Whose?
Oh, well, that's right, we wrote it down.
That's it. And here's, this is,
I'm gonna tell you right now, if I come back, this isn't about money, this is about you, this is about my kids and my grandkids. If I come back. Time's up. Okay, let me finish this one. For whatever that salary is right now, budgeted in 2022, I will not accept a raise for 4 years. That will be my salary for 4 years. And I'll do the same work that I did before. And I'm gonna work on the salaries for the employees of this county. I just want to make sure that was clear on the record. Here's and essentially the salary at that time, and that's in this document, if anybody wants a copy of it, it's the salary for the county judge, for Judge Johnson, was $107,775.90, so $107,775.90. And I actually took more than what, of course, there's step pay in there, and there was longevity, and I outlined in there that I know until I'm eligible for that I would not be getting that. But I actually reduced my salary even more during last year's budget to try to, and y'all honored that. And you moved the maintenance staff up in their salaries and gave me another position for a supervisor, which there was only 3 and 1 part-time full-time. There was 3 full-time and 1 part-time. And now I have a supervisor with 4 full-time people. So, we increased those salaries to a better place last year. And I gave part of my salary to them last year. And as you see, that salary is not over $107,000. It's actually $103,000.
869.80.
What was it?
103, 869.80.
869. So I just want people to understand, and I try to keep
I'm
on.
not challenging that at all. You're an employee of the county, you're deserving of a raise like everybody else. Whatever you've got between you and your constituents and your heart, that's up to you. I'm on for everybody to get the same for what it is.
Well, I just want to make sure, I did it last year, I put it on record, so I was just
no,
gonna do
you
it for
said
the
it,
budget.
you said it last year, what you told them during that meeting.
Okay. All right. I just
But
want-
with this, it doesn't put you up to the 107,000.
No, I'm keeping my word, is what I'm saying.
There you
Yes.
go.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right. Okay. So have y'all got some discussion?
I don't know.
Tell me what you want to do.
Commissioner Dixon.
Well, I'll say that it's my personal opinion. It's hard for me to give someone more than what everyone else is getting. We're all employees, I do understand that the sheriff, we do have to raise his up, more than what the others are in order to get the grant. And, I think that's a no-brainer. But some are $21.50. There's one here that's
Because that's their
$3,900.
longevity
Let's go
and
to
stuff, so
longevity.
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's $21.50
Yes.
is the lowest. And then here's one with $3,900, increase and a $5,458 increase. That's just the way I feel about it. It's hard for me to give somebody more.
If we decide to go in and let's say change it, whatever the number of people, 2,100, 2,300 apiece for everybody straight across, that 3,900 is still gonna be different because that's gonna be including her longevity. But those ones that's got the 150 and all that, that's still gonna add that to it because that's kinda coming from a different area. But the overall impact of these numbers over here start with 2,000. But like Ms. Lightfoot, you know, she's got more of
That's just
her,
Wesley, that's not.
or is it Wesley?
Yeah.
He's got more in there for stuff that he's already earned, so that's the only reason why the numbers are different, so you see what I'm saying? So that's the only reason why those numbers, but those bottom numbers on the 54, 58, that's a heavier enhancement, you know,
Right.
that's what I say. But that one is gonna be different with that. And then like the one only has the $125, you know, because it's
Right.
just all that the entitlement is for that one, so.
Yeah, the only thing that changed, the only positions that were more than $2,000 raise were the constables. Everybody else on that list.
And the
got-
sheriffs.
Yes, and the sheriff, okay? So-
Also, the certification pay changed as well.
Well, that's
Yes,
what I was
that's
gonna
okay.
say.
It went up, didn't it?
The certification pay is in there for the additional 600. So if they were basic or intermediate or advanced or masters, whatever the increment was, if it was 1,800 for that increment, then it went to 2,400. Okay? If it was 3,000, it went to 3,600 for that certificate level.
So,
And that was about 45,000 is what that added to the budget.
I don't know.
so how did you explain the constable increase? Is it certification pay?
I kinda looked at it the same as I did before. In '99, the constables were making 25,000, if I remember right, and the JPs were making 29,000, and every other elected official was making 38,000. Okay, now, I didn't try to bring them up to 38,000. Back then, I added the county treasurer was making 29,000, collecting up and doing, dispersing everything. Those were the lowest paid elected officials in the county. And I looked at it similarly here. There's not as much of a difference. But I didn't try to bring them up to what everybody else was. That's, you know, I'm with you. You know, you do what you feel like you can justify that's reasonable.
Right.
So in this one, I didn't say, well, let's put them up at 63.5 with everybody else with a $2,000 raise. They got 2,000 and I brought them up to 60. Okay. Back then, I added $3,000 to all the JPs and all the constables and the treasurer. And you know, back then I was go to conference and I'd heard bickering. And of course, with my experience, I was a JP for 8 years. The constable serves all the process for that court. That's their constitutional duty. That is the one thing that they have to do. And so I'd hear people talking, we need to get rid of these constables. My first question was, how much are you paying them? Because I know some counties where they were getting $50 a month with no gas, and commissioners was complaining because they wasn't serving any papers. I wonder why. And that was my first question is, how much are you paying them? I said, we have working constables. They get out there and bust their ear. I mean, they're out there backing up the sheriff's department, and they're doing a whole lot more than they have to do.
And I promise you, I'm not trying to pick on them. I love all 4 of our constables. I have a good relationship with them. You know, and if this was in another department, it would still be my same feeling. It's just hard for me to, you know, give somebody more than what we're giving the others. But, you know, and like I say, I'm not saying it just because it is a constable. I have a very good relationship with all 4 of them. That's just my standpoint.
This is the way I approach this, okay? Maybe we disagree on stuff, but from a policy standpoint or on a budget, whatever the decisions are of the majority of this court, I'm gonna respect.
Right.
Okay?
And I'm
not gonna go out there and start talking trash about commissioners, because they didn't do this, okay?
No,
So
I'm saying.
I want y'all to understand that, okay? And I did what I thought was reasonable.
Right.
Everything that approach of this, I felt like I'm not overdoing stuff. I'm trying not to do that. Because that's not appropriate way to do things.
Right.
Okay? So,
I guess
if
right
y'all
now-
disagree with me on some of the things that I did, then just let's get, and we gotta make a decision on
Yeah.
this.
Right.
So y'all need to tell me what your opinion is, and let's
We
try
can
to
help
find some
Annie
kind of
somewhere.
happy medium.
I guess one question I want to ask, maybe I'm missing it, that's why I asked the question. On the Justice of Peace for Precinct 4, what was the reason for that increase of $1,900 more than the
This is
2,000?
longevity and step pay. Longevity and step pay. I
It's
believe Judge
longevity.
Wesley is
Yeah.
eligible
Judge
for the
Wesley's-
additional step pay next year.
Oh.
They
That's
come
what it
into
is,
the
which is
position. right?
1,800.
That's what I wanted.
That's what
Okay,
I
I
said.
just couldn't
That's
see.
what I
Isn't that
was just
added
explaining
across
that to
there? I
Joey.
was thinking it was added across.
No, so it's there, but you don't see.
You
the
don't know
breakdown.
what.
You don't
see the
it
breakdown.
is year over
I know,
year.
but it shows who got step pay. Oh,
But you don't
okay.
know what it was the prior
You
year.
don't know what it
I don't know
prior
what
year
it was
Okay,
prior.
I understand.
That's
Okay.
what, and I couldn't
So
find
that
it
was-
here.
That's what I was explaining to Joe. That's why his will stay different, you know what it is.
And that's why I was asking the
Okay,
question.
so
do
for
the
everybody at
constables
home that's
get
listening,
certification pay?
Megan, what's the years you get, after so many years you get?
After
3 years.
3 years, I always forget if it's 2 or 3. 3 years you
3
get
and 5.
1,200, and 5 years you get an additional 1,800.
1,800
Right.
after that.
Okay, after three,
3,000
how much do you get?
3 is
1,200,
1200, and then 5 is 1,800.
So it equals
Okay,
3,000
and
after
then
5
It goes
years.
to 3,000 at what point? Doesn't it go to 3?
No, it's just 3 years and 5
just
years,
done.
and then it's
that's
over
it.
with.
Okay, cause I was looking at step pay, it says $3,000.
That's the
That's
total.
what it will be, his total.
That's the
See,
total.
You're confused.
That's
about it.
not additional, that's not the increase, that's what his salary will be for
Yeah,
step
but
pay.
where does the 3,000 step pay come from? Cause we got,
See, it says step pay, $3,000 on a lot of people that have been here a while.
yeah, that's the 18 and the 12. So they've already received
You
all of
received
that.
the 12, then you receive additional 18.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
3 years
so
you get,
there's,
I
we're
thought it
real
went from
confused.
12.
3 years you get 1,200.
Yeah.
And then at 5 years you get additional 18.
So it's combined total. of
So that's
3,000.
a
Okay.
total of 3,000.
So it's after 5, you got 3,000.
Yes.
1,200.
Yeah, you get, yes,
After 3.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You get 1,800 at 5 years, and
right.
you got 12
Yes.
at,
Okay, now we.
3
understand.
years, so now that's where you're 3,000.
So you got his
Well, I want
18.
everybody that's
Correct.
seeing what
No,
we're
I
saying, I
understand.
want them to understand too.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So he got his 18, he got his 2,000, and he got his 100 longevity. That made him 3,900.
Makes sense.
Okay.
And like I say, and I mean, what you said, I respect, and, you know, if this approves, I'm fine with it. You know, I'm not gonna throw a fit, I'm not gonna be upset, I'm just, and it's not because you made this budget. If Kenneth, Commissioner Dixon had presented this budget, it would still be my same concern.
In these later court meetings, we're gonna have to address these other salaries.
Right.
That's
And
right.
you-
And we are gonna have to.
Yeah, we will be addressing.
Yeah, we will have to eventually start bringing them up. I just,
And I
Don't
think
know
we got
that-
some people that indicated to me they wanted to speak to us today, so. I
Okay.
wanted to-
Is it something to do with these?
No, it's just, I think, just in general, it's not those.
Okay. 'cause I
If
didn't-
anybody's here, any elected officials want to speak on elected official salaries, I'll give you a chance to do that if you want to. Okay? Judge Weston? I need everybody to come to the microphone so the county clerk can get it in the minutes, okay?
The only thing I want to bring up is on the salaries for constables and justice of the peace. Historically, we're always less. The reason justice of the peace were brought up to what the elected officials were is a result of 2 salary grievances that I filed. And the first time was unanimous, the next time it was one vote shy. The commissioners at the time decided let's just do the right thing and bring it up. And our constables, they don't do like an 8 to 5 job. I have a process that needs to be served, and if it means they go early in the morning, they go late in the afternoon. They just have to go whenever they can try to catch someone. So their job requires additional training and schooling they have to go to in order to be the process service for our court. I do know that they serve process that comes in from other counties. So I guess my constable kind of gets messed over more than any of them when it comes to court duties, because I do the truancy court for all the schools in the county. And as such, he has to be in there every time I hold court. So the more the court works, the more the constable works in the office versus being out on the road doing other things. So that way it kind of gives you an idea about why the JP's salaries actually got brought up where they are. Constables can speak for themselves, okay? I have no idea what they were gonna do, but I'm just letting you know ours were brought up because of the fact of salary grievances, and the commissioners just decided the last time that let's just do the right thing and bring them up. So whether they reserve it or not, yeah, I believe our constables do deserve at least that.
Right.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Anybody else on the elected officials? I know, Bridget, you wanted to address the court a little bit or something. I'll give you a chance if you want to.
Right now?
No, let's get this out of the way. Any other discussion? Or what y'all wanna do?
Yes, anybody want to discuss anything else?
No, I don't know.
Judge, y'all put it in the form of motion that we give them $2,400 straight across, all the way from top to bottom, so that'd be my motion. That's gonna up it some.
Question?
Just to clarify,
Yeah.
2,400 on the
I
salary,
don't understand what we're
2,400,
talking about.
instead of the 2,000, just make it
2,400, and then what about the cert pay? Well, the cert pay included an additional $600.
I don't know, that's what, I didn't know if we had to get a second and we discussed it, or what was the proper procedure.
So the salary,
Yes, sir, I did
was an
this.
additional $2,733.
Well, we had
on
one
top
a
of
couple years
2,000.
ago, they did do one.
So you're proposing 2,400, and then the cert pay added an additional 600, because the proposed budget had, like the judge said, an additional 600 on all the levels of cert pay. So that included the constables and the investigators in the DA's office and then the sheriff's office.
But that's already something that's in there.
Well, it's in there for everybody to have cert pay. Well, the cert pay last year, or current year, is 2,400. That's an extra 600. So it makes it 3,000. Yes.
See, the other thing to think about is probably gonna come up, is about the college, okay? Every one of them have college. At least one or two of them's got master's degrees. There's, in the DA's office, I'm just giving you information so you can be thinking about it. In the DA's office, at least one's got a master's degree. So, something to think about.
And
That's, I'm just saying, a lot of times what we do for the sheriff's department, we do for everybody wearing a badge. With the constables and the DA's investigators. So, before you decide, and that may be something that we don't do for the constables and don't do for the DA's office. If you decide to do it for the sheriff's department.
You're just saying on
And that's
the
what
base
you were
salary.
saying that day about the college hours, that was a printed, you give us about their college hours accredited. Okay.
That has to
I
be
put
approved today.
DA's in there.
The whole thing, the whole
So
salary.
they can post it on your paper.
So the elected officials can be given their
Yeah.
letter
So,
if they want to file a grievance,
Let
and
me
then
ask you a
it'll be in the
question.
paper.
that certification.
Commissioner Chafin, you said that a while ago, what about the sheriff department?
I'm sorry, yeah, and then make that you talking about the sheriff's salary and
Yes,
bring
sir.
him up to 75,000.
Yes, sir, because
In my
that's,
motion,
I mean,
yes,
we
sir.
know we have to be at that point.
That's right. To bring the sheriff to the 75 and then increase the $2,000 enhancement to 2,400. That's what I'd said.
Across the
straight
board.
across.
Now, are you talking about for all the elected officials?
All the
or are you
elected
talking about just the constables?
No, the elected officials all the way across.
Oh, all the elected officials. Sorry, I missed that.
Except the sheriff.
Except the sheriff will be at 75.
Except for the sheriff will be at the 75.
Okay.
So that's a motion you made?
Yes, sir.
Okay, leave me out of that one. Just leave me at where it's at right there.
Okay, well, I guess, second, we have to make a second, and then,
Hold on one second. So,
man, I don't know, that's what I'm saying, I need to.
I'm not, upset. I
That's
just,
gonna be
This is
something
not-
to work on.
I wasn't aware of this till today, I missed it.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, I just-
Give college this year, we don't give it to them, we can justify what we did up there. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot that went into this thought process,
right.
okay? And they're getting a grant, they can increase theirs. You know, they can decide, well, this court can decide to do something with that grant.
So,
It says enhance their salaries.
as I was
And that's
stating
for-
to you,
Everybody.
I asked you about the certification pay
That's
for
what
the
judge
constable.
and the deputy.
Do they now
Right.
get certification pay?
Yes, depending on their level.
So they do get certification pay.
Yes, but this was raising the level, increasing it by $600 each level. So right now, all the constables, I believe, have a master's, so it's 2,400.
Okay, but they,
That's master's, right? 2,400? Master's is 2,400.
even if this, where it says certification pay 3,000 is gone, they're still getting that other 6 is what you're stating.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
because like current year, it's
Since this is
2,400.
gonna be advertised, because I was trying, y'all brought it up, and I don't know what, you know, Greg brought it up about the maintenance. I'd just like to ask the court to take my $2,000 raise and give it to my maintenance supervisor, to get him to 40, because I only proposed 38. I'm gonna do it like I did last year.
Well,
I'll
also,
just
I
take
think-
my,
I think
I'll
we
just
can-
take my
you've
lump.
got
No, sir, I
another
think we can come
couple
up with
of,
his-
employees too that I think
Yes.
we need to look
I
at.
understand.
We can look at his another way we look at our employees.
But that's something we don't have to.
No, sir.
That's
So-
right, not today.
No,
We
but-
get
I
The
say we
salary-
propose your
no, but
salary
if
where
I
it's
cut my
at,
salary,
whatever you
then
do
I'm
after
gonna make sure
you.
he's.
Right,
He
take
doesn't
that
want
in.
it.
To
He
go
said,
to
if I
him.
cut my salary and give it to my maintenance supervisor, like I did last year, to get him to 40,
Right.
okay?
Yeah,
I'm
No,
willing to
that's-
do that.
that's
If
your-
the court's okay with that.
that's your call.
I
have
don't
no
think that
problem.
it's necessary,
I don't
but
think
I
it's
mean, if he'd
necessary.
like to, that's his prerogative, but, our supervisors for the majority of our, you know, our foremans and all, and that's what, you know, this guy's
That's
doing,
what
I
he
think
is.
that he needs to be in that rate.
Needs to be
That's where-
compensated for
That's
what he's
why I
doing.
brought that up, because, I mean, he's kind of the leader of that department when it comes to the work.
I
And
know
I
this
think we
year
should do
alone,
that
I've
without
had to lean on
affecting
to,
your salary,
yes.
You know,
And I've called
and I
Judge.
appreciate that.
And I said,
You know,
Judge, I
do,
need
but-
him. And Judge sent him over there. Our water busted, that whole county boring, it was water flooded all out. When it, first of this year, when it was, cold, he got over there himself, cause the plumbing company couldn't come. He went to Brawley's, bought everything. We shut the water off. He went through and fixed it all himself up in there.
Right.
Went in all that
Didn't have to call a plumber.
He
does
went
a
in
great
all of
job.
their
He does a great
insulation,
job.
everything
That's
himself.
why I brought it up. He
So
does
no,
a
sir.
fantastic job. So
He's
if
a
that's
committed
what you
to
wanna do,
county
that's
guy.
whatever, but I don't think that's necessary if that's what.
I
you
wouldn't
decide.
do it, Judge.
I
I
just
say we
wanna
leave it.
make sure that I'm taking care of my people.
Right.
We're
Did
gonna
you-
take care of him, but we leave his
Why I
salary where
brought
it's
it
at.
up,
Judge
because I
salary.
think
is-
Did you speak to Megan, that you're clear on your motion that it's going to?
No, I'm not clear.
Okay, tell me, and then I'll put it in a minute order. I'll put it in a minute, just for the county clerk, okay? All right, so tell me exactly what you wanna do.
I had that opportunity.
Okay, before we do that, at some point, we're gonna have to,
I understand that, but we're not only employee,
you know, I just, I don't,
and I don't know about that. We'll see.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, so tell me
I'd like
what
to-
y'all are thinking you wanna do. You said 2,400?
Yes, sir.
For all the elected officials?
Yes, sir, 2,400 instead of the
For me,
2,000.
I'm not gonna take the 400.
That's
I'll
fine.
leave the 2,000 in.
Whatever you wanna do is fine.
Okay. All right, so, and we're gonna leave the sheriff at 75, correct?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that
Yes,
part of your motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 2,400 across the board for all the elected officials. So that'll add an extra 300 to each one, correct, Megan?
400.
Except for the sheriff.
400.
400.
Get add 400.
I'm sorry. I was looking at the 2,100, so yes, an extra 400 to each of the elected officials. Leave mine at $2,000
Leave yours at 2,000.
increase, okay? Still under the 107,775.
Can I ask a question?
And the sheriff's salary be set at 75, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Can I ask a question before we go further?
yes, sir.
I know you're saying leave yours at 2,000. Couldn't it be proposed at what we're proposing at 24, and then you take off that 4 later on if you need to? I mean, with Megan in the office in there?
No.
Okay.
No, because this
Once
is,
you
this
put
will
it
be,
in,
this
it's
is
done.
it. Once the
She's
court
gotta pay.
passes it and it's in the paper.
Unless I donate it back,
But
I'd
if the
rather
court
just
changes
make
it, then the
clean.
process
That's
has
what I
to start
thought,
all
y'all
over
don't
again.
go back.
But I'd rather just make it clean in the budget.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, you don't have to do that.
I know, I'm doing it on my own.
All right.
All right, so that's Commissioner Chapin's motion, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that clear for the record?
Yes.
Clear as mud? Okay. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dixon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
May I ask one
I'll
question?
abstain on that.
May I ask one question? The cert pay is staying the same, correct? Is what is on that? I just wanna make sure. I just wanna be clear.
Which cert pay are you talking about?
That cert pay right there, the 3,000,
Greg?
that is the same?
Yes, she knows it's what it is.
He said
We
yes.
addressed that. We just addressed the 2,000,
I just wanted to be clear.
the 24.
That's the base pay, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, did you wanna talk to the court, Bridget? Sure. Now we're back on the budget again. Bridget works in the district clerk's office, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Good morning, Commissioners
Just
and
give
Judge
them
McKinney.
your name for the record, so you're on the record.
Okay, my name is Bridget Janaszek, and I was wondering if I can give y'all a copy of my budget.
Sure.
Good morning. I'll hand them the damn, keep it trying to walk over there.
Oh,
No, but I can look. Okay. Thank you so much.
okay. As I said, my name is Bridget Janaszek. I've worked for the Anderson County District Clerk's Office since July of 2020. Thank you for taking the time to hear from me today. First, I just want to say thank you for all that you do. I know that your job and your responsibilities are sometimes talked about in a negative light, but I want you to know that I appreciate your position and all the work you do for this county. I truly have loved learning all about the courthouse, judges, and how things work in the clerk's office, and how what we do makes other offices be able to do their jobs better. The court system is like building blocks, and I believe that the district clerk's office is the foundation. The 4 district judges, Judge Duran, attorneys, and the public rely on our office heavily to protect their paperwork. We also keep court running effectively. It's so fascinating watching how all the pieces move together. I love my job. The only thing that is hard for me is I've been supporting myself on this salary, and I just wanted to let y'all see how difficult it is to make it by yourself. Before you are a list of my bills that I have every month and my salary per month. As you can see, there's not much left over to save. If emergencies come up, I have to rely on credit cards to get me through. I've been researching the job market around Palestine, and I believe that a professional job title deserves $40,000 a year. I used to work in the eye industry for more than 20 years, and when I left there, I was making $40,000 because after all that time, I was considered a professional. I know that I have not worked here for 20 years, but when I was hired, I was told how much responsibility my job held and that I would have to dress professionally and behave in a professional manner and attitude, whether dealing with the public, attorney, judges, or other offices. All the clerks must be deputized and bonded each new election year, and that holds us responsible for keeping the records of the court and the public. The county can be prosecuted if we fail to uphold all the laws related to the records. I believe a deputy district clerk is a professional job title, and as such, we should be paid for the responsibility. Thank you.
Thanks, Bridget.
Yes.
Thank you, Bridget.
May I be excused?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Or do y'all have any questions I should ask?
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
yes.
Okay. Are you at, let me just ask this one. Are you at 34?
Yes, 34, the middle one. I can't
Okay.
remember exactly what it is, but
Okay. I know there was some at like 32, 34, 36,
mine's 34.
after the $2,000 raise. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean. it
That would be 36.
Yeah, it'd be 36.
It'd be
Okay.
36.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
How long has she been here?
3 years.
You're the bookkeeper, correct?
No, sir, I'm the AG clerk.
Oh,
Attorney General
okay,
clerk,
all right,
Child support.
okay. I'm just trying to remember.
Yes, sir.
She's also pulls all the juries and
Okay.
takes all the bad messages.
Thank you, Teresa. Okay. Anybody else wish to speak to the court during the workshop? So, I mean, I don't think we need to take up item number 5, because y'all want some more time.
Yes, sir, yes.
So, what day do y'all wanna try to do this?
What day is good for you?
I'd kinda like to do Wednesday,
Okay, I have a doctor's
if that's all right with
appointment.
you, huh?
I have a doctor's appointment Wednesday,
On
but
Wednesday.
I may can
What time?
move it around,
10:30.
10:30.
done?
Just so y'all know, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, let me call and see, I bet I can swap it around.
Okay. All
What-
right.
What time are
Just,
you?
just so y'all know, my wife has got a shoulder replacement on the 28th of this month. And I'm gonna be her caregiver
I bet that.
after
Yes,
so
sir.
I would like to stay on schedule.
Right.
And, she's been my caregiver in the past, so I wanna make sure I'm there for her.
Yes, sir.
So I would like to get that, she's gonna be in surgery while we're doing the budget hearing and work, and so I got a family member that's gonna be with her until surgery's over. But I'm gonna have to take off some after that. So
Yes,
if
sir.
y'all can help me stay on schedule,
Yes, sir.
I just wanna make sure, okay?
It would need to be Wednesday afternoon.
Well, that'll be good
Wednesday,
then.
is that okay?
Yeah, 'cause 10:30, I should be back here. It's in Tyler, I should be back here by
Well, what if we do
12:30.
2? Does that
That
work?
would be perfect. Won't even have to
Okay.
change it.
All right, so I'll just, we'll post a notice to have a budget workshop at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, and that is the, what day is that?
16th.
16th, okay.
16th.
All right.
And you're
of
busy
August.
on Tuesday, right?
I've got something planned every day. That's what I'm saying. That's what we were, and some of this we've had planned for a while, so. I've got probate cases, I think, on on Thursday, and I've got other meetings that are scheduled that I've already committed to.
And we said 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock?
Man, I kinda need it Wednesday, and Thursday. That's all right. Gosh.
2 o'clock.
All right,
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
so move.
And if y'all have any questions, come ask me.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
If the public's got any questions, all you gotta do is ask, and I'll try to explain them. If I can't, I'll try to get an answer. All right, who moved?
So we're not, before we say aye and all that, we're not meeting on Monday afternoon either?
No,
we're gonna
no,
do a
not
little
on
bit-
Monday afternoon, we'll just have regular commissioners meet
Okay.
on Monday. Okay, all right,
All right.
for the regular meeting.
All right.
All right.
You don't have a second?
No, I'm waiting on a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hill, a motion by Commissioner Mims, second by Commissioner Hill, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, so ordered. Thank y'all.